Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk about the concept of aligned love and misaligned love, balancing love and a love that imbalances us, as well as understanding self love. It's taken me a long time to understand the concept of self love, especially because all my life, when I was younger, I only saw illusions of love or very fragmented pieces of love, and I felt that true, genuine love was missing in the lives of the people I was surrounded by many times. Very rarely have I actually seen true, genuine love exist between partners or exist in family life of people. People show love, people show some elements of love in their life, but many are so lost they don't know even what is actual, genuine love. So, in this one fictional clip from a show, I don't know what that show is, but in that one simple clip, it showed what a balancing husband and aligned husband and truly caring and supportive husband is supposed to be. So, in that clip, you can see that the woman is looking very distant, very disconnected, and disengaged. And since she's carrying a small breastfeeding baby, she's likely very tired also from all the breastfeeding she's doing, since in the surroundings there are so many people chattering around her, but she's not engaged in the conversation. That shows that she is already tired from the socializing that has happened in that event. And all of this that I am observing about her, or any other audience who has been in her place has observed about a woman like her, will understand that this is what the husband also picked up about her. So as soon as he picked this up about her, most husbands wouldn't care. They might pick it up about their spouse, that spouse is tired. If they don't really love their spouse or care for their spouse, they will, or they care more about their own social image, they wouldn't have responded in the way that the husband responds. So what does the husband do? Because he doesn't care about simply image or simply keeping respect where respect is not being shown, he shouted at them and told them to keep quiet. And that shouting was necessary because it's only 1 minute photo shoot that can get extended to 5 minutes or 1 hour if people are not paying attention to doing what they are meant to do at that point of time. And like her, it's not true that just that woman is tired. It's also possible that many other people in that social group, men or women or children, are also likely tired after a long few hours of socializing with so many people. It's just that she is the most tired of them all. And everyone kept quiet. But now imagine if instead of him saying quiet please or shouting at everyone, if the woman realizes that she is tired and she needs this to end immediately, and if she had shouted, and if she had shouted, they would have labeled her a bitch, they would have labeled her a shrew, they would also have completely ignored her. And if she hadn't shouted, and if she had requested politely, gently, meekly, can we get this done with in a few minutes, again majority of the people would have ignored her. Because this is how some people are in the world. If they are having an enjoyable time, if they are having a fun time socializing with others, most people are too busy having their fun to observe the lack of fun or lack of energy or lack of drive in people to continue that which they are enjoying. But the husband observed this about his wife, and because he observed it and he is ready to be the villain for a 1 second photo shoot, he said what he said. And being a man, he will get away also with shouting like that and saying no in such a harsh manner, because it's acceptable for a man to shout like that and demand peace and quiet, but our society doesn't accept when women do that. So if any woman would have done that in that scenario, most of them would have been ignored, or even if people would have complied, they would still have talked behind the back and continued talking about her rather than letting it go. Whereas when the man shouted, none of them will keep this as a thing against him for having shouted at them for that photo shoot. So this is the difference, that society has double standards for men and women. And even though this photo shoot is from a royal family's story, I believe from the comments I read, I felt this is a royal family story, and or a rich family story. So even if it's a rich family story, royal family story, or even a middle class family or lower socioeconomic status family, or a person who's not from a developed country but living in a underdeveloped country or less developed country, same scenario will unfold globally, because this is how women are treated. If they say no in a gentle manner, 90% of the time, then no is not understood or heard. And when they say no in a harsh manner, when they are really at the brink of a collapse or brink of dissociating and disengaging, at that time there aren't people who are there to understand that they need that moment of peace, they need to exit this scenario, they need rest, they are tired enough that if they don't get the rest that they need, then this husband understands this, and he has checked and appropriately stopped the negative spiral of her tiredness to continue at the right moment. And just his saying stop just doesn't help the wife in that moment when they took that picture. It also helps the wife that now that he's understood she's tired, they will exit the party, or they will end the party if they are the hosts, or he can arrange for ending of the party, or arrange for her going and getting some rest if they are the host. Whatever it is, him observing and stopping things at the right time means that she doesn't have to have a meltdown, because there would be many women who may not have a meltdown right at the party, like how he said stop it, or he wanted the silence. If she had asked for that silence, not only would she have been ignored for the request that she's making gently or not so gently, later on, because she understands that people are talking about her, or she would feel also guilty for not conforming to the social standards, her compass now would be completely imbalanced, and then she would also end up having likely a fight with her husband, fight with her other children if she has other children, not take care of the child also now, or her caretaking of the child will also be distorted, because now she is in an angry energy, because things didn't get stopped when she wanted it to stop. People were not listening to when she asked for a simple request for peace, if she had requested for it. And also, if she doesn't even request, then also there is a consequence. Let's say she doesn't request, the husband doesn't request, it won't go as bad as the scenario I mentioned earlier. But if none of them request the peace, she'll be completely drained out energetically, and there will be a fallout immediately a few hours later, where again the children will not get caretaken, the spouse will not get caretaken, she'll be too tired and exhausted to do anything right, and then the cycle of bad things or things that escalate into a bad cycle in a relationship would have continued in their life. And that's why saying no, the ability to say no is very important in a relationship. The ability to say no that comes, or set the limits and boundaries, that comes from the feminine energy within us. The ability to discern when a no is required comes from the feminine energy, and the ability to say no in a commanding way comes from the masculine energy, which both the man had. That's why he was able to discern, because of his feminine energy, when no should be said, and that feminine energy that makes him intuitively connected to his wife to understand when she is tired and she needs rest and peace. And he also has the masculine presence to say that no in the right way, that allows for this photo shoot to happen, and then that also allows the safe space for the woman now to seek rest, because now she understands her husband, at least understands her plight when she is tired. Now she understands that the husband cares for her, even if he's a kind of a man who has never expressed I love you, said I love you in any way to his spouse. She would still appreciate that spouse because he was there for her, protecting her in exactly the way she need protection. This is not a cowboy ridden land or a tribal land where a man has to fight for a woman's protection, but this is the modern man, how he has to fight for protecting the woman's energy rather than women's energy, the child's energy, because if the woman is drained, the child will also be drained. And by protecting her, he's protecting his own energy also, because by saying no at the right time, by stopping things at the time when the limit of the thing has happened, he is preventing the escalation of a situation into a bad relationship pattern, where if he hadn't stopped it, the woman would have felt unsupported, women would have felt uncared for, and which is really true, because he's not supporting her when she's tired. What is the point of a relationship? The point of a relationship is to be with someone who, when you are at your weakest, knows how to pick the pace, pick you up, do something right for the relationship that ensures that you are not simply down and you're not simply going to break down, or you're not simply going to fall apart. Whereas a misaligned relationship means that when you are down, when you are falling apart, there's no one to pick you up, there's no one to help you, there's no one to support you in your meltdown. So all you have left eventually then will be that you will continuously keep having meltdowns in your relationship with your partner, and continuously keep feeling exhausted and drained, and feeling unworthy, and all these elements of depression, the postpartum depression that women experience, that starts to unfold, the exhaustion that women experience while breastfeeding and raising a child will start unfolding, the places where she needs help when a husband has to do very simple things. How difficult is it to say no to others? How difficult is it to set a boundary that when wife is exhausted, don't come and engage in large 4 hour parties? Like, let's set a limit that because we have now a responsibility of a child and she's the new mother, maybe she needs a few months or a few years of protection from in raising the child. So during that time, it's better, like, let's not socialize for long hours. All these limits the man can set up in a relationship, and he's meant to set up, because being the patriarch of the family, or the older one in the family, or the man of the family, he has all these responsibilities of setting the limit. Otherwise, if you're not doing all these things, you have to allow the woman to do it. When the man is not ready to do this, women can pick up the pace and she can do it, but she has to be then allowed the chance and the ability to set the limits when she has the intuition to know when she's tired, when she's exhausted, when things need to end at the appropriate time. Because women already knows, women being she being the feminine energy and having the more feminine energy in the relationship, she already knows much before he does that she is tired. But being feminine, she also knows if she talks, and she has the intuition to know where she should talk, where she shouldn't talk. So that's why she has been keeping quiet. But when someone's limit has reached, they can't also keep quiet. That will also start happening. And those women, when you see in unhappy relationships where women are constantly like being categorized as the nagging wife, why is she the nagging wife? Because you are the enabling, the pain enabling husband, the suffering enabling husband, the husband who doesn't know when to stop socializing, the husband who doesn't know when the wife needs rest, the husband who doesn't hear or listen or see or witness the wife in front of him, or the children in front of him. He doesn't even witness the pain of the wife, the problem of the wife, but he doesn't even understand that if the wife is not healthy, or is completely exhausted, or is completely repeatedly asking you to do something that's very simple for you to do, they're not even likely asking you to do something very major. but that simple task is very difficult for your ego to do, or you are so exhausted yourself you don't want to do it. But you don't realize, even if you are exhausted, the level of exhaustion a mother goes through, a newborn mother is going through, or a person who energetically gives you all the energy that causes, because men and women don't realize this also, that if they are in a balanced and aligned relationship and a real love filled relationship, men get a lot of loving energy from their partner that boosts them in their career, that boosts them and gives them the energy to do good things in their life. And that same energy that the wife is giving subconsciously or consciously to the husband, the man is supposed to, if the man is a balanced husband, aligned husband, he will then, after getting that energy from the wife, give back that same love and energy and care and support to the wife in a different manner, in a manner that she requires, and in a manner that he is meant to give to her. But if he doesn't understand his role in her life, or the role of having had the blessing of getting good positive energy for her, he would never end up supporting her, and he would end up categorizing her as a nagging wife, or join the other people who are maligning her, or considering her as something evil, when all she wanted was few minutes of rest, or a few days of rest, or a few months of rest, or a few years of rest, depending on where how many places she hasn't been supported by a right balancing partner, or a friend, or a colleague, or a system of care that was meant to care for her but isn't really caring for her. And this can flip also, this script also flips in men also. When men don't have those supportive women, you will see those men also, why are those men who are really aggressive, who are really verbally abusive, why those men exist? Those men also exist because their wives are not actually deeply taking care of their needs. What a wife is meant to do, give that loving energy, caring energy, balancing energy, the wife is not able to give to the man. And it is also sometimes both are not able to do it. When both are not realizing their importance of each other, or both partners' vibes are not matching with each other, so they are incapable of providing that balanced level of alignment and harmony and love to each other. They're simply misaligned. So how much ever you try, if two people are really misaligned a lot, they will not be able to understand each other's needs or give to each other what they need at a time of when one or both are at their exhaustion level. Because even at the exhaustion level, when it's a good intuitive balanced partnership, again the one who has to give a little bit more is the one who has the more reserve energy to give, not the one who is completely at the drop of a hat or a pin drop. In the next moment she might have collapsed, in the next moment she might have shouted, in the next moment she might have started crying, and all of which would now then would have labeled her as a dramatic woman. And if she doesn't do it, her child she's holding, a baby is also very sensitive to the mother's pain, father's pain. So the baby would have started crying instead. Like when you see, mothers with children, when the children are crying, sometimes it's not just the children are crying their crying energy. The baby is also crying the mother's energy and pain, because that is what babies are meant to do. Because babies also know if their mom is in danger, this is a danger of the spiritual kind, emotional kind, psychological kind. So if a mom is in danger of that kind, that is a threat to the babies as well. So the baby has to cry, should cry, to ensure that when the baby is crying, at least people will try to soothe the baby. Because if the father hadn't intervened, then the next person who's in line to intervene here is the baby. If the baby also doesn't intervene to help her, next person in line who should have intervened for her on behalf of her is, if she has a good sister or sister-in-law or some friend in the party, they should intervene on behalf of her. But if she doesn't have any of these people who will intervene for her when she's near exhaustion, then she has no choice but to become the villain in people's lives. And this is because that is the only way. If she at least shouts, she will get at least 5 minutes of peace. She will not get social credit or bonus or love from anyone, but at least she will manage to get that peace, that 1% or 10% of something that she desperately needs to not get into a collapse or depression or health incidents or lack of caretaking responsibilities towards their child and spouse. So because then when you are angry, what also happens when you're angry, your adrenaline also starts pumping a lot. That adrenaline that gets pumping in your blood, that gives you, that when you're completely exhausted, it gives you a temporary relief of 10% adrenaline that will push her, at least if she shouts, it will push her at least for, if this party is going to continue another half an hour or 1 hour, it will push her for that half an hour of energy that she needs at that time. But that's not the healthy way, that's the very unhealthy way, and that's how toxic relationships develop, when husbands are not able to intervene in the right way, help in the right way, assist in the right way. Or even when she shouts, if a husband is really misaligned with the spouse, he will not care. He will also categorize her as a shrew and a nagging wife, and in fact he might also start looking at all the friends, see what a what a wife I have, who is, see, what I have to deal with in my home life. And he will instead want to get that use that opportunity to get this is called covert abuse. But covert abusers do this: they will either trigger their wife themselves, or they will allow the wife to collapse and then use that collapsing incident when the wife is shouting as a way to show the world that, see how this person has collapsed and see what abuse I go through in my home life. When the person who's actually the abuser in those scenarios is the spouse, who's either deliberately adding to the wife's pain, or when the pain is happening to the wife from outside sources, is not able to protect her from those outside source related pain. And this is not like, people don't understand the level of exhaustion women can go through, especially if women are at that time breastfeeding. You are literally in a physical exhausted state, because all your nutritional good things that you are feeding yourself is first going to the baby. So if you are not healthy nutritionally, if you are not feeding yourself the right food, or because you may think you're eating the right food, but most people don't increase their calorie intake according to the baby they are having. Like after you had a baby or while you were pregnant, you were supposed to increase your calorie intake a lot, but many women don't do that. Or even if you have done that, even then, being a new mother is not an easy thing. And then socializing while all your energy is drained is not a healthy thing for anyone, because when you are, that's why only in ancient cultures they used to have these rules where when the baby is a few months old, only after that they would allow the baby to be seen, because that allows the baby and the mother to rest. And the biological thing that modern medicine found out was, it's because of the baby's immunity will go down. But why will the baby's immunity also go down? Think about it. If the mother is exhausted, mother is nutritionally challenged, mother is energetically challenged, mother is emotionally not getting stimulated, mother is not getting comfort and care from her husband the way she needs, then she is constantly fighting all these multiple battles at the same time. So naturally her body's immune system will go down, and when her immune system goes down, the baby's immune system goes down. When both their immune system goes down, any simple bacteria infected person also coming and touching the baby will end up causing diseases to the child, and then a loop of again disease will continue and continue, which will be the reason why it's better to not interact, not socialize at the moment of time in your life when you have a newborn to take care of or a toddler to take care of. And only when the toddler has become, in the terrible 2 or 3 stages that people talk about toddlers, that is the stage when the baby is seeking movement and wanting action. So that's the time when you socialize, you align yourself with your child's needs. Until the time is the time the child is sleeping, the child is wanting rest, the child is wanting mother's care, you give that to the child. But when the child also is ready to walk around, explore the world, meet other people, that's when you should socialize with your kids, rather than pushing to socialize with your kids at a younger age. This is also something men and women need to realize when they are caretaking a child, in order to balance and create a healthy relationship. And now there's a second video I want to talk about, where there's this woman, when she asked her husband for divorce in her 40s, her husband said that no one is going to look at you after the divorce and you will stay single. So she's asking the question, was he really right? And she looked very sad in that video. But even in that scenario, I will ask her to examine actually, is he, even if he is right that no one is observing her in her 40s, if she was the kind of a wife where her husband was not observing when she needed help, when she needed care, when she needed caretaking, when she needed some healing, when she was in the brink of her exhaustion, or something was going on where she needed support from the husband and he was not there, he was not witnessing her pain, is her life actually realistically speaking almost the same? Her life is realistically speaking almost the same when she had a husband versus when she doesn't have a husband. Only difference is when she had a husband, there was a physical presence of a human in her life which gave her the false security that someone will see her or witness her pain. But if he wasn't the kind of perfect husband that the first video is showing, and he's the kind of the other two kinds of the husbands who are either not going to say anything, or two or three kinds who will either not say anything on behalf of you to stop a negative situation from escalating. There are others who will add to your pain, and there are others who will not only add to your pain but use that pain that you are going through, the problem you're going through, to categorize you as a shrew or a red flag or a inappropriate spouse, and then gather the social credit for seeming like someone who is a abused husband, and then use that to continue their life as a free man. And he's essentially, by doing this, he's essentially been a person who, with or without a wife, will continue just milking people for praise or help or anything. So if he's that kind of a man, does he even need a spouse in his life? He doesn't need a spouse in his life. Whereas if she's the kind of a woman who does understand what is the value and worth of a relationship, value and worth is to be there for each other in each other's time of need. That is the real reason you are in a social relationship, in a committed marriage to someone. But if you aren't able to do that, there's no point of a marriage. Then you have broken the real point of a marriage. People think real point of a marriage is sex, but that is a sin of the flesh. Real point of marriage is not sex. Sex is one aspect of it, sex is one element of it, but it is not the crucial element. Even though the Satan or devil or mass media where exploitation of a woman's body happens, all of this seems to promote this idea that women are only meant to be in a marriage to provide manner sex. But that is not the reason why women are there. Women are there to give energy, positive energy, bring positive energy and light to a man's life, to bring change in a man's life, to help him evolve from being a youth person to a person who is supposed to be a person when, if they are in their 20s, they have to shed a little bit of their teen years. If they are married in their 30s, they have to shed a little bit of their 20-year-old self and become attuned to the 30-year-old version of themselves. In their 30s, when they have kids, they have to attune themselves into becoming kids of parents of a kid of a certain age. When they're in the 40s, when the kids are in a teen, then again they have to reshift and rebalance according to the needs of a teen. So you're constantly, that's why given children or some other social responsibilities, if you don't have children, to continuously evolve in life, and you're given each other as a partner to help each other learn how to evolve in that particular stage of life. But every time a wife is challenging a husband to change according to the social status they are holding at that time or responsibilities they are holding at that time, if he continues to categorize the wife as a shrew, then that's a problem. And opposite can also happen. If change is required and the wife is the one who's the immature one and doesn't and wants to keep being like a 20-year-old when they are a 30-year-old with a 10-year-old child, at that time you cannot behave like a 20-year-old. A 30-year-old with a 10-year-old child has to have some difference in life with a 20-year-old. A 30-year-old without a child also will have some professional life difference or social responsibilities or parental responsibilities otherwise crop up in their life. That is why you age in life. You don't simply stay the same in life. If we were meant to just simply stay the same every year of our life, then why are we on earth? We would have been just a mist out there in the world somewhere, just doing the same thing, like the air just keeps floating around everywhere globally, or the water just keeps flowing around from mountains to the sea. So everyone, or the earth just keeps being either a fertile earth or a non-infertile earth. So like there's only two status of earth. You will be either a fertile earth or an infertile solid rock where nothing will grow. So these kind of roles that you have, you will be an inanimate object if you were only supposed to keep doing only one or two things, and are not supposed to consciously evolve into doing multiple things appropriate for the time point of your life, the stage of your life, the kind of partner you have. You're not doing that, right? So this woman has to reflect, or this woman and any woman who's going through this loneliness after divorce, or after they got widowed, or after they got broken up from a long-term relationship, any woman or a man also, if you were in a very toxic relationship where your spouse is not witnessing your pain, not helping you heal, not helping support you, not providing you the balanced equitable relationship, because you see in that relationship, in that first clip, as soon as the husband did something nice for her, she immediately acknowledged his doing something nice for her, and she understood that if he absorbs too much of her pain, he will get angry. So immediately she held his hand, or put her hand on his thigh. I wasn't sure whether she held his hand or put her hand on his thigh, but she touched him immediately to calm him down, that it's valid for him to feel angry on her behalf, but let's not push it too much as well. So that is also the balancing feminine energy's role in a man's life. To her femininity also knows when to check him, when he shouldn't get too angry also. Now that anger of 1 minute anger that caused everyone to stay silent was enough, the right thing, and nothing else needs to be done at that point, is what she was trying to tell him via the touch, and also appreciating him for what he did for her, right? And acknowledging that he has witnessed her pain, so she's also witnessing his pain and his acknowledging his love. So this thing, if a man and a woman are not doing continuously with each other in a relationship, it is not a balanced relationship, it is a misaligned relationship, it is a toxic relationship. When it is very overtly toxic, at that time you might see it manifest in the form of sexual abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse. But when it is covertly toxic, it will manifest in the form of a man simply not helping out, man simply not observing the wife's pain, or vice versa. So if anyone, when after divorce, wants to understand this aspect, that is your life really that is it really true that no one is going to observe you after you have reached a certain age as a marriage material again? That is a false paradigm. But in order for the right person also to observe you, what do you have to do? First you have to realize, was it worth for you after divorce to stay by yourself? If there are many advantages that came to you, because every time I have exited a toxic relationship, I ended up being grateful for the exit from the toxic relationship. My life financially may not have looked better, my life emotional engagement wise with anyone, or having any human connection in my life at that time, deeper human connection was not there. But for a thriving life, you just don't need just a random human connection. You need a deeper, real soul based, real understanding based connection, like the first videos husband wife are showing towards each other. If you don't have that kind of a love, you should not just randomly marry anyone just simply because you are lonely, or simply because you feel that just having someone besides you means that you are being observed. You can have anyone besides you, but that doesn't mean that they are observing you, they are caring for you, they are actually your true life partner. It's like water can exist in the mountains, but if the mountain doesn't have the soft soil, the water and soil will never merge to create a fertile ground for planting of seeds, right? If there's on the banks of the river, instead there's a lot of stones, that water can't merge with the stone, right? So, and on the stone nothing will grow. Something can only grow in the stone if the stone now has some porousness and some mild soil in it. Then only some plant can grow in a stone, right? So that kind of a life, do you want to be that kind of a life where fertile ground for love to spring has to happen, right? So in order for a fertile ground for love to spring between you, or to sustain between you, or to continue between you, if that fertile ground has not only been created, then you being with a partner or without a partner is actually essentially almost the same experience. Just the being with a partner gives you a false sense of security, whereas without a partner you will be pushed, actually without a partner, to think where can you bring security to yourself, where can you show self-love to yourself. Because when a partner is there, you may have a false sense of security, and that's why you will not be observing your needs and yourself. But when you are alone after a divorce or a heartbreak or a breakup or a cheating incidents or a separation from your spouse, or whatever is the reason why, or you were single for a long time, whatever is your reason that you are single in your 40s or 30s or 50s, or whatever age you are at a time, understand this: when you are without a partner, that point of time of your life is not for some opposite gender, or the gender of your interest to observe you as a person. It is for you to observe yourself as a person. Start observing yourself in that period of isolation and separation and grief. Start understanding yourself deeper. What was it? Because while in a toxic marriage, you might have been fighting constantly for simple things like this, like you need 5 minutes of peace. You're not getting 5 minutes of peace. If you say during your periods, I do not want anything to happen in the home, you're not getting that rest during those few days of periods. If you are sick, you say you want simple thing from the market, they will not get you even the simple thing from the market. So are they witnessing you? Are they observing you? Are they really being with you? No. So if you didn't have that partner, if you wanted 5 minutes of peace, you will at least get 5 minutes of peace. You're not going to invite anyone to your home simply to please your partner's needs. If you wanted, you are feeling real stomach ache during your periods, you were feeling that stomach ache when your partner was also there. But if your partner has never consoled you, soothed you, helped you, bought you your favorite food, or nourished you or nurtured you as if you are sick, if the partner has not done any of those things, again there's no point in having a partner, not having a partner. Because if you had to self-soothe yourself while the partner was there in your life, if you had to take your pain meds, if you had to go to a spa to feel nice about yourself, if you had to just simply watch a crying movie while you were feeling emotional during your periods, if you're feeling angry, if you have to punch a wall or punch a hit me like doll or whatever you're feeling, or if you're suddenly getting that angry energy to clean up the whole home, you did it all by yourself, irrespective of whether you had a partner, whether you don't have a partner. So is there a difference though when you don't have a partner? When you have a partner, you will expect it for the partner to do this to you. But when you don't have a partner, you know what you now want. Like when you have a partner, sometimes you will expect that I wish he would bring me some hot soup. Now that he's not bringing you the hot soup, you kept that wish and you got disappointed that because that wish didn't happen, and you were unhappy in the relationship because there's no one to bring you soup, while you, every time your partner is sick, you bring him soup, you bring him his favorite things. So that will naturally make you feel off balance, right? Because you're giving so much to a partner, and that's the only time you will have an expectation. You don't have an expectation from someone with whom you didn't invest anything, give them anything. If you hadn't, and it's not again like a transactional thing, but it's a balance related thing, that it's not that if your partner, every time he falls sick, you cook something for him, you take care of him without him asking, you're doing things for him. If you were that kind of a wife, and the partner just took you for granted, or did observe when even if you ask for something, they're not giving you something. When you don't ask, they're not observing what you need. When you're in real trouble, they are not able to pick up the pace. Then you are being unobserved by your partner, and that's why God has separated you and asked you to take the decision of divorce, so that you at least observe yourself. Because many a times in your quest to give a lot of energy to your partner, you will see that in a relationship, if you were really a very much high level giver in that relationship, or constantly just giving to your partner, that same giving energy that you have within yourself, when you're single, you will give to yourself. And as soon as you do that to yourself, you will start glowing up. Like every time I have had a breakup, for 6 months or 1 year, I have been grieving their absence in my life. But after that few months or years, and for some of them I have grieved for 3-4 years as well, but after that period and phase of grieving has gone, I have glowed up. Because in those periods of grieving for them, I started taking care of myself. While I was grieving for them, I was also taking care of myself. I was also doing some hobby, or doing some coursework, or doing something that was aligned with my core nature, helping me grow in my life. I was constantly evolving. So the moment you start evolving in life, rather than being stuck in a negative mindset about what unfolded, you will see massive levels of changes happening, smaller levels of changes happening. The energy and devotion you showed to your partner, now you're showing to yourself and your career or your other life goals. And if you are truly missing a company of a soul whom you can hug, if that's really the only place where you are having a problem, go hug a stranger. Do some charity activities where you can go hug a stranger. Go to a old age home, go to a children's home, go and adopt a pet. Give that love, shower that love to a pet. If you don't want to adopt a pet, raise a plant and talk to the plant with love. You will immediately see the effect of your loving nature on that animal, on that plant, on that stranger, and which is what you need to feel validated, to feel observed, to feel seen in a relationship with any planetary creature. So, and when you do that, when you first create the space for self-love, create the space for self-care, create the avenues for self-love, self-care, self-respect, when you observe yourself, and also accept that you also need love that balances you, and then you go searching for that love in the unusual places, you will see that once you find that love in the unusual places, that it is not possible that people will not observe you, understand you, and be interested in you, because then you have balanced your love. The reason why you were unobserved or uncaretaken or misaligned or imbalanced in a relationship that was toxic or abusive or conflict filled or just simply depression filled, in all those phases when you were in those kind of relationships with people, they were not observing you, they were not understanding you, they were not wanting to be with you, they had other priorities, and they were not valuing your presence in their life. But once you start valuing your presence in your own life, once you start understanding that your presence on this earth is not simply for a partner, it is also for other planetary creatures, it is also for the elderly, it might be also for a child who needs adoption. So that love, that you were unconditional love, that a deeper love where if you were the wife who was investing a lot of deep love into a husband, and that husband was not showing that love back to you, there is a place where that kind of love is also acceptable. In what relationship is that kind of imbalanced love acceptable? In a mother-child relationship, or in a pet-parent relationship, or in a plant-parent relationship. Because a pet, the child will still have higher capacity to give back the love you show a child. A dog will also have a higher capacity to show back love. If a dog value, when you have caretaken a dog in the right way, a plant will also show back love if you've caretaken the plant in the right way. So all these three actually will show you much more higher level of returning back the love you gave them than what the husband will do. And it sounds again very business like or business minded, but it's not about business, it's about natural law of living, survival and thriving. Everyone needs a validation of their presence in someone's life. And a child will validate a mother in some ways, a child will also cause distress to a mother in some ways, but being a child, the child is at least trainable, but a man is not trainable if the man doesn't want to merge lives with you. A child, if you take a baby, they will be trainable, but again, it's not about training someone to suit your needs or selfishly doing something with a child, because there also then a toxic problem will arise. If you start thinking that I've given so much to this child, why is the child not giving me back what a ideal child should be giving me back? That will be a problem. But at least with a child's love, what happens is, because a child is a small, when you are taking care of a baby, you are meant to pour excess love on the baby. Whether that baby will show that love back to you when it's grown up, it's the baby's karma with you. But the job of a parent, when the baby is there in a parent's life, the job of a parent is to pour back more love. The job of the baby is to give back less love. That's always going to be there, at least for 30-40 years of a child's life. After their middle age, only the child will possibly give back more love. Again, this woman, if she's alone, but if she has parents alive, maybe it's a time while she was alone to reconnect back to her parents who are alive, to bond and create a better bond with her parents first. So if she starts doing all that, creating self-love avenues, creating avenues to love unconditionally other planetary creatures who are capable of reflecting back, because the problem with a bad imbalanced marriage is the reflection of the love doesn't occur. If I'm growing a plant, which is a vegetable plant, if I grow it nurture it with the right things that the plant needs to grow, it will bear me beautiful fruits, beautiful vegetables, beautiful herbs. If it's a flowering plant, it will give me a real healthy flower, right? Whereas so it will reflect back the love. It's not giving me the love in the same way. So love is never about expressing the love in the same way as you are showing love, but it is about reflection of that love from that other person. So even a child will at least smile when it sees the mom. The child will ask for the mom's presence or cry for the mom when it is hurt. And at the time, if the mom gives what the child needs, and in a right balanced way, not in an unhealthy way, because some children will also cry fakely to see whether it's able to get mother's attention, but then that's a toxic love. You shouldn't always attend to a child. If the child is showing fake love, then you have to also understand when it is showing fake love. But if the child is a balanced child, and you're raising a balanced child with a balanced form of love within you, a balanced form of love where if you were married and at that time you wanted to have kids but the husband didn't want kids, that is now a time now for you to explore that option. If you wanted a pet, he didn't want pet, that's the time to do that. If there are movies you wanted to watch, there's a places where you wanted to travel, where you were restricted into doing all these things, now you have that opportunity to explore all these elements of self-love. And yes, it will be a harder journey for a few years when no one is observing you while you are going through these transition phases of rediscovering self-love, rediscovering other elements of love. While it will be a difficult phase for a few years, understand that it is not as difficult as continuing to live decades of your life with a partner who doesn't observe you, who doesn't allow you to observe yourself, who doesn't allow you to explore and thrive in life. So that is the question you should be asking yourself when you're single after a breakup. Any man also can do the same self-reflection. And then if men and women both have done these right kind of self-reflections after breakup, there is no question that you will find the right partner for you. And you also have to understand, just being observed by another gender is not the most important key in having a good relationship. By being observed the right way is important. Because say I hold a wish that I want to be observed by men. What can happen is people can observe me and I don't hold that wish, by the way, because I do not want that. I would rather be observed by the right man, or not be observed by anyone. It is fine for me to not be observed, because I have led a life of not being observed for many things. So I do not care actually about being observed. What I care about is like how this husband is able to mindfully take care of something that is needed to be taken care of in the right way. He is able to do it, and he's also willing to listen to the wife when the wife holds him down, that don't get angry, or I appreciate you for what you have done. That is also the right man. So being observed by the man who balances you, who you balance out, is very, very necessary, more necessary than just being observed by 10 men, 100 men, 1000 men. That will never bring you happiness. That will only bring up narcissism. That will only stroke your ego if you're observed by multiple people. But if the observation was not the right observation for you, it ends up bringing more destruction in your life, more grief, than a life of not being observed. That's what I have felt, because the moment I had left in US, I was being a Indian girl, and being a quieter sort. I was never observed as a relationship potential by most men. Very few people observed me. But in India, as soon as I came into India and I was going to the gym, too many men were observing me. And I didn't like that, because I liked that anonymity in US life where people are not observing me, or if people have observed me also, it was a very subtle observation. It wasn't a overt one where they are thrusting their attention on me, or I don't know, I just didn't like how Indian men behaved in showing their attention, or not understanding that just because there is a alive, sexy looking, and at the time I was looking sexy. So I will, most of the time I don't look sexy, but at that point of time I was looking very attractive. So just because you're looking attractive and an attractive woman is out there in front of you, doesn't mean you just go and grab her attention. Or like Indian movies tend to show this, that this is the way to get a girl. No, that's not the way to get a girl. Attraction is just the least bit important thing about a girl, and a girl of this century. Because if you are only attracted to a woman and that's all you are considering as a life partner potential with them, you're wrong. You have to have a lot of different things, the intuitive understanding, and that's where you don't have zero. You just because I look very beautiful doesn't mean that, like all other beautiful girls, I want to attract men, like come to me like flies. I'm not that kind of a girl. So, and there's a reason, and this experience with the men who I was attracting, who I don't want any attention from, actually also sometimes causes me to stay very dowdy looking, I do not want to attract unnecessary male attention. So I deliberately also sometimes don't dress well, don't dress as greatly, that fashionably as I could. And earlier when I was younger, it was not a deliberate choice. Earlier when I was younger, I hadn't developed any taste, so I dressed up very dowdily, or my family is the one who was buying clothes for me, so they just bought inappropriate clothes for me that would make me look ugly or whatever. So there was when I was younger, I didn't know what kind of clothes to wear. When I didn't have money, I'm not going to buy really expensive good looking clothes. So all these were the times when I didn't buy good clothes. But I have the capacity to buy good clothes, I have the capacity to be observable. But at the point of time when I had the capacity to be observable, I chose the route. I realized that it's better not to be observable sometimes in life. And when you get observable, there is a lot more problems associated with being observed than with not being observed, is what I have felt in the last few years of my life. Like, and everyone who gets observed a lot, like if you look at the celebrities, you will see they either turn narcissistic or egotistical, or get high with the power of being observed too much, or completely are unauthentic when they are being observed. They want to show a behavioral pattern of being happy when they are unhappy, or being inauthentic constantly. It is so draining to be that inauthentic, that level inauthentic. Very few people who are famous know how to be authentic, irrespective of how many people are observing them. So when a woman or a man get sad that they are not getting observed, they need to realize that, do you want that observation? Do you really want that? Because that also attracts stalkers to you, that can also attract CD people to you, that can also attract negative. This is the reason why I do not like getting observed, because I do not want negative energy. I do not want an energy that is misaligned with my mind. And I know when I say I do not want it, I do tend to attract those things also more. But in that experience only, you opposite experience of bad kind of observations which has happened with me, I have realized that what is healthy attention, what is unhealthy attention. So if you are striving for a healthy attention based relationship, observing relationship where you are observing each other, taking care of each other, strive for the relationship clip that in 1 second shows that they love each other, where no words are communicated that is necessary to say that they love each other. That kind of a relationship is what people should be striving for, rather than the kind of relationship where mass amounts of people are around you but none of them were observing her. So do you think any of the other people who didn't observe her pain really actually care about her or love her or even understand her at any 1% level also, to understand when she's, because she's at the breaking down point in that 1 second clip. And at your breaking down moment also, if people around you are not observing you, they're likely to be highly superficially caring about you, not caring at all about you, or high level narcissistic personalities. I hope this video made sense. And so when you are going through a period of grief, separation, loneliness, understand that in that loneliness is the time to connect with yourself. And the second aspect, which I spoke in some of my other videos, is about connecting to God. When you connect to God, then you will also, when you connect to God, ask God that who's the right partner for me eventually, or that why haven't I found the right partner. If those kind of questions are happening to you, God will reveal to you why you haven't had the right partner, what is the illusion of love that exists in the world that causes us to keep seeking a wrong partner than asking for a balancing, aligned, harmonious partner. Things like that will slowly, the separation phase is the time for realizing all these things, understanding yourself better, and increasing your self-awareness about yourself and your needs, in order that when the right partner will arrive, you will understand that that was the right person for you and you are the right person for them. Because a right partner is not simply a one directional thing, it is a mutual thing. So I hope this was informative, and if anyone has any comments or questions they want to express in the comments, I would love to hear from you. Thank you.